Hello, my friends, and welcome back to my channel. This reading is going to be a little different. I felt called to do a very different type of reading this morning, and it may be triggering for some people. So I just want to remind you that if you're watching this and you're feeling overwhelmed, that's okay. It's okay to pause the video and take a break from it. This reading is going to be about wounding, and it's going to be about what wounds are within you and the person you're connected to that could be delaying or blocking this connection. And there were, like, how many decks do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There were 7 decks that I was called towards, and you can see, like, there's a stack of cards here to get through. So this reading is going to be all about these cards, and the idea is to look at all the shadow attributes of these cards to really kind of dig into those wounds and shadows and to help you understand what could be blocking you, what could be blocking your person. I've done readings where I include talking about wounding, but this morning I felt very called by my guides to do a reading like this, and it won't be an easy reading. It won't be a short reading. Like I said, it may give you some insight to yourself, which could be triggering. It could give you insight to your person. And again, if you're feeling triggered, just remember when you're feeling triggered, it's that an unhealed wound is being kind of like poked at. If you could resonate with some of these wounds, but you could have also overcome them at this point. Like I said, I wasn't looking at the cards if they came out upright or in reverse. I'm taking everything, like I'm looking at the shadows of these cards. So these could be shadows that you've overcome. If you're hearing it and it's not triggering you and you're not resonating with that wound, then that's a really good indication that it's connected to the person that you're connected to. And again, just keep in mind, like, I didn't do this reading with these are your wounds, these are their wounds. This is just kind of like an overall, the wounds within this contract that are blocking you or lessons that you're meant to learn from this connection. I'm not going to be looking at their feelings for you or anything like that or the outcome. This is strictly like a healing / wounding / shadow reading. And again, it's not something I've ever been called to do, but I was called to do it today very strongly. Even though my ego was kind of like, no, don't do it, because your ego wants to keep you safe. So whenever you feel your ego being triggered, that ego response, it's because your ego is trying to keep you safe. And it's not that by looking at these wounds and healing, you're unsafe. But again, your ego wants to keep that part of you protected when really we're meant to crack that part of ourselves open and heal those things. So again, if you're feeling triggered or overwhelmed, please, know that you have free will. You don't have to watch this reading. But it also might give you some insight into yourself and some of your wounds and the person you're connected to. And remember, all of this energy can be healed, is what I'm hearing. It can all be turned around, is what I'm hearing. Now, I'm going to lay the cards upright, but keep in mind, I'm looking at them. I'm looking at the shadow attributes of these cards. So I guess we'll just jump right in. Like I said, like, look at, maybe the number of these cards will be symbolic for someone, or there will be a meaning to them. So I'm just going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So there's 28 cards here, which reduces to 10, which is the energy of the Wheel of Fortune. And sometimes that Wheel of Fortune stops moving when we need to end cycles within ourselves, within a connection, or make changes and adjustments. So I think that's kind of interesting that it's equaling 10. 10 is also an energy of completion. So what else am I hearing? 28, High Priestess energy linked to your intuition, also linked to heavy programming. So what I usually talk about on my channel is that we're all born, as babies, we're all born spiritual and awakened, but it's programmed out of us at a very early age. So it's programming that can be healed and overcome. And 8 is the energy of strength. So just the fact that I went on that little tangent about your ego and about how when you're feeling triggered, that's your ego, makes me think of the strength card in reverse. So you could be a Pisces or a Leo or a fixed sign, which, oh gosh, I had it the other day. Is it Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio? Did I get that right? So those signs could be symbolic. You could have placements there. But again, just know that I'm here with you and you're safe. You're safe here. So let's just jump right in. And again, you might not resonate with some of these, which means it's connected to your person or whoever you're in this soul contract with. So the first card we have is Snake, Earth energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. And the snake energy is untapped potential. It's that potential within us that we haven't yet tapped into. So that could be symbolic. Maybe you have some sort of potential within you that you have yet to tap into, maybe even your spiritual gifts. Perhaps your person has some unawakened, untapped potential within them. One of the blockages here could be that someone is unawakened. So take that as it resonates. I'm just going to lay out all the animal cards first, and then I'll get out the book and I'll talk about each the dark attributes of each card. I'll also mention the light attributes because, again, these could be shadows that you've overcome. We have the firefly. So the firefly is interesting because the firefly reminds me of, it's like little moments of inspiration or intuition that we're feeling, but they're fleeting. So it's almost like your intuition whispering at you, but maybe you haven't, or your person hasn't built that intuition enough to listen to it and to let that fire burn strongly within them or you. And I always say, like, intuition, the more you work on your intuition, the more you test your intuition, the more you listen to your intuition, it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. Think about it like a muscle. I'm also thinking of, I'm being called to that in a reading I did the other day. I had that image of the little, why am I saying little? Do you pronounce little like that? I say little, but I'm pronouncing it little. So maybe someone here really pronunciates their T's. But I was thinking of the Never-Ending Story, where at the end of the movie, she puts that little grain of, I did it again, little, that little grain of sand in Sebastian's hand. And that's kind of like how you're, in my opinion, like when you first start to listen to your intuition, it starts off like this tiny grain. But the more you trust your intuition, and in the movie, she was saying, the more wishes you make, the stronger it becomes. And I'm having chills as I'm saying this. So the more power you give to your intuition, the stronger it becomes. So it could be that someone within this contract, has not yet harnessed that intuition or learned how to trust it. And it's just like very like fleeting. Like when you think about a firefly doesn't burn like that light all the time. It's like it blinks. So really trusting that light, trusting that intuition. Again, I will look at the book, but I'm also feeling called to talk about the downloads that the messages I'm getting from my guides as I'm pulling out these cards. One other thing that I was hearing when I was talking about the High Priestess with this snake is, like I said, we're all born with this potential. But the problem is that it's programmed out of us, kind of like this snake here, surrounding this potential so that we can't see it. So we all have this potential within us, but some of us, haven't tapped into it yet. So it could be that you or your person hasn't tapped into it yet. Again, everything I said about intuition. We have the crocodile. I also wanted to mention that I saw the cheetah in reverse, and the cheetah it's not in here, but I saw it when I was shuffling and I took note of it. The cheetah is masculine energy. So it could be that one of the shadows within this contract is that someone is like in distorted masculine energy, which is the energy of, there can only be one winner, one loser. There can only one of us is right and the other is wrong. It's the energy of living life by the clock rather than, how can I put that? It's like being obsessed with time, being obsessed with how much time things are taking. And just, the cheetah in reverse is, when I think about the cheetah itself, is about momentum and forward movement and action. And the fact that I saw the cheetah, it could be that there's, no forward momentum here right now, no action, because maybe there is masculine energy, that emperor energy lacking. And that can be in both of you. We're supposed to have a balance of feminine and masculine energy within us. And that's what the temperance card can kind of symbolize, is us balancing those energies and becoming, putting you in a very harmonious type of energy. So both of you could be struggling with your masculine energy, and the masculine energy is the energy of feeling enough and releasing control over people and situations and releasing fixer patterns. And, one thing I always talk about in my readings is that we can't fix anyone. They need to fix themselves. If you're watching this, shout out to that singer that I shared yesterday. She recently sang Fix You, which is one of my favorite songs. And when I was saying we can't fix anyone, the song Fix You by Coldplay came to mind. And she, of course, came to my mind. So shout out to you, you beautiful angel, you. Apparently you're living rent-free in my head, or your voice is. We have the crocodile. And one thing I always hear with one thing I always hear with this card is the song Rolling in the Deep. And I think I actually don't know what that song is actually about, because I usually have my own interpretation of music and songs. They speak to me on a different level. Sometimes I even have to look up what a song actually means because I have my own interpretation. But the rolling in the deep, I'm hearing rolling in shadows. So there could still be, or there was, a lot of shadows within this soul contract, whatever this soul contract is to you. And I always hear we could have had it all. So maybe that's something that, you've had a thought about this person, like we could have had it all. Anyway, however that's resonating to you. So we have air, earth, water. And with cheetah and phoenix, which I saw during the shuffle, we have fire. So we have everybody here. Everybody's invited to this party. With the phoenix, we're looking at the shadow attributes of that. So it could be that with the phoenix is rising above challenges. It's healing out karmic lessons. So you and this person could have had, lessons that you were meant to learn from. And one thing that I always talk about, that one of my favorite readers talks about, is with that phoenix energy, sometimes we have to keep burning ourselves in that fire. We have to keep repeating a lesson over and over and over again. before we finally learn from it. So I definitely feel like this was a connection or a contract that you were meant to learn important lessons from it, and they were meant to learn important lessons from it. With the stingray, I almost skipped over the stingray completely. First of all, there could be, and I'll get into this when I go into the shadows, but when you think about the stingray has this big stinger, right? And I know that one of the shadow aspects of this card talks about like lacking confidence. So it could be like when I was talking about ego. So when our ego feels threatened or when we're lacking confidence and someone triggers that lack of confidence, sometimes that stinger comes out, right? So I'm not saying that's you, but you could resonate with that, or you could resonate with your person being like quite defensive. I also know that this card talks about like lacking a spine, like lacking sense of self, and the need to have better boundaries. So it could have been that this person was meant to teach you how to put up healthy boundaries and to not, hurt you. And it can be hard to put up boundaries. I always say I didn't know what a boundary was until I started therapy. I was raised to believe that boundaries were bullshit, basically. I thought a boundary was like a fence or the police tape that they put up. And it could be that this connection was meant to help you put up healthy boundaries, which means this person could have crossed those boundaries or mistreated you in ways where you were meant to empower yourself and put up healthy boundaries and say, no, I know my sense of self. I know I deserve more than that. I'm also hearing that for some of you or your person, boundaries can also turn into like, yes, there's such a thing as healthy boundaries. We need healthy boundaries. I believe in that now, now that I know what they are. But sometimes when we come from a wounded place, those boundaries can go from being healthy to being walls. So instead of letting people like, we can, and I'll get into it with the Sacred Wounding book that I'm going to be reading from. But sometimes, we can undercompensate for our wounding or we can overcompensate. And one thing I'm hearing with the stingray is one way that we can undercompensate is that we lack healthy boundaries and we let people kind of come into our energy and mistreat us, and we're not quite sure, like, especially if we love them, we're not quite sure how to put up a healthy boundary, especially if we fear losing that person, like if we have an attachment to them or a codependent attachment to them, or we have a fear of rejection, a fear of abandonment. We're scared that if we put up a healthy boundary, they're going to leave forever. Now, some people overcompensate, where instead of not having any boundaries, they build a wall around them. They build, like, I'm thinking of that castle card in the archetype deck. They, instead of not having any boundaries, they kind of put themselves in a castle where no one can get through their walls. No one can get in. So I'm hearing like you may resonate with one of those, and you could be thinking your person resonates the other way. So maybe, you lacked boundaries and your person overcompensated and built walls around themselves so that no one could get in. And then we have the Beaver, which the Beaver is all about stability. It's about home. It's about family. It's about, I want to say a family support system. So one of the shadow attributes within this connection is someone here may not have that stability. Someone may not have that family support or family stability. But again, we'll get into these cards. So I think what I want to do is I just want to stop. And again, I'm not going to read all of like the whole, I'm not going to read the whole description of these cards, but I am going to read you the keywords for the dark attributes of them. And then even maybe we'll look at the light attributes. So we're going to start with the Beaver. So it's on page 100 and 101, which 111 is linked to intuition. So for some of you, there could be an energy of blocked intuition here. So when out of balance, feels useless and worn out. So that could be a shadow or a wound here, that someone here doesn't have, a sense of purpose, or they feel useless. They feel, like they have no purpose in this life. They get easily worn out, easily burnt out. Whenever I hear burnout, I think of autistic burnout. So someone here could be neurodivergent. To bring into balance physical labor, selfless service. And when in balance, happy, meaningful work. So, this talks about the Beaver has a love and enthusiasm for family. So maybe for someone here, they don't have a good sense of family. And for someone who doesn't have a strong sense of family or a strong family dynamic, or grew up in like a household where there was a lot of chaos, or there wasn't a strong sense of family togetherness or unit, the Parent Trap just popped into my head. The song Let's Get Together, like the original Parent Trap with Haley Mills. Anyway, when someone grows up in an environment where they don't have that structure, and they don't learn that structure and togetherness as a child, they have a really hard time recreating that in a connection when they're older. It also talks about, although a Beaver doesn't usually initiate a project, once started, they'll work steadily for weeks, months, or years to see it through. So one of the shadow attributes, and again, shout out to my neurodivergent people, because it says burnout and it talks about procrastination. And that's making me think of like people who are autistic even people who are ADHD can suffer from burnout. But the procrastination, ADHD, the procrastination is real. Like task avoidance for someone with ADHD is real. And I'm not saying that makes it okay that someone acts like that. But, I recently took one of my children. I mean, all of my children are being seen by someone because they're all neurodivergent. But my daughter has this wonderful doctor who he's really good at what he does. He works with children. He's really good at what he does. And I had to sit there and kind of tell him everything that my daughter does that is associated with ADHD. And that can be hard for a kid to sit there and hear. Like, here's everything that, normal people find really easy, but she struggles with. And he was so sweet to her, and he said, it doesn't define you. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's just the way your brain works. Your brain is wired differently. That's all that means. So the fact that that's coming to my mind, maybe someone here is neurodivergent. We're going to go crocodile next. I'm fighting the urge to like, see you later, alligator. In a while, crocodile. Anyway, see, I couldn't even fight the urge. I had to say it. So, when out of balance, feels stuck and lashes out. So, maybe you and your person both resonate with the shadow aspect of this card. Like, you just feel stuck. You feel stuck. And sometimes, and like maybe your person lashes out, or maybe you resonate with lashing out. But when someone does feel very stuck, and in that, like I'm hearing like stuck in negativity, stuck in that lower vibrational energy, rolling in the deep, they can kind of lash out at people who are in the light. I just listened to a reading by my favorite reader where she was saying, when you are awakened and you're healing and you're shining your light, it can irritate people who don't have that, who are stuck in that lower vibrational energy. Like, they can find you irritating. And I'm not saying that to trigger you. I know myself that that's true. Like, I know my light irritates others. But there could have been, there could have been the energy of lashing out. And I was hearing that with the stingray as well. And I just want to bring up that image that I got in that reading I did the other day, that really emotional one, where it's almost like an animal in a trap. Like, think about a crocodile that's stuck in mud and can't get out of the mud. And someone comes towards it to try and help it out of the mud, and it starts attacking that person. It starts lashing out at them. Again, I'm not saying that it's okay that they lashed out at you, or I'm not saying it's okay that you lash out at people. I'm not here to condone that, but I'm here to try and help you understand where that comes from. So, this person could have lashed out at you when you got close to their triggers or to their shadows. Or even, if this is someone who did grow up in quite a chaotic household, they subconsciously could have wanted, like, again, they're not doing this consciously, but people with a lot of wounding and people who grow up in unstable households then grow up to recreate that chaos in their life. It's like they don't feel comfortable unless they're surrounded by chaos, so they subconsciously recreate that chaos. We have the snake. Like I said, I'm not spending very much time on these cards. Unawakened magic and potential. Unawakened or untapped potential within. What would life look like if you woke it up? How can you stir it from its slumber? And when out of balance, starts and stops many things. So I'm hearing already, like, this could be someone or you who starts things and then doesn't follow through. You like start a task and then you stop it, or you start a business and then you stop it, or you start working out and then you stop. You start eating right, then you stop. You start a connection. I'm for some reason I keep thinking this next part is about your person, but maybe like this person starts a connection and then they quickly get out of it because, again, when something starts to feel safe, they don't know. Someone who has experienced a lot of chaos in their life, how can I put that? They could start a connection, and then as soon as it starts to feel like, as soon as they start to feel emotionally vulnerable, they could like duck right back out. So you could have been dealing with someone where it was like on again, off again, or they were in and out of your energy. Moving on, the firefly. Excuse me, my throat seems to be a little bit blocked. Maybe there's a throat chakra blockage here. So I already talked about this energy of a moment of inspiration or awakening that quickly fades if we do not catch it. And I was talking about the intuition, about like maybe the intuition whispers, but we don't give our intuition the attention it deserves. We don't build up that muscle the way it deserves. We don't give it the power it deserves. So when out of balance, burnt out, so another card of burnout, feels dull. So just lack of fulfillment, feels dull, feels, maybe there's lack of confidence, lack of belief in self, lack of zest for life, I'm hearing. And when someone feels that way, they have a really hard time envisioning their future. When I was back before I awakened, I had a really hard time envisioning my future, and I just kind of went through life like a robot, like day after day, same thing. Couldn't really envision a happy future, couldn't really envision anything. I couldn't see anything in my future because I felt like there was a void. I felt very dull. I felt, I didn't have that zest for life. That's what I'm hearing, zest for life. And we have the stingray, which is what? Water? I should know that. Stingrays live in water. Again, I'm like enunciating my T's. So sometimes I pick up on other people's accents. So maybe you're someone who enunciates your T's. My Fair Lady just came to my mind, where he's trying to help her enunciate. And she's like, cup, 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 of. Why can't I find this? It's right there. It's right after the crocodile. Developing confidence, sense of self, or spine. And again, I'm hearing lack of boundaries. This also talks about personal growth. So it could be that, there needs to be like this connection. There's a lot of personal growth that needed to happen on both sides. And, if you're watching me, I kind of feel like I keep being called over to your person's energy. So maybe your person, like maybe you are going through that personal growth. And maybe your person was slower to awaken to that personal growth. So when in balance, eager, wants to grow, right? When think about this also can talk about the alignment of the chakras. If you look at this, and when those chakras are in alignment, you want to grow. You have, as again, a zest for life. But when they're out of balance, it can block the energy. It can really block you up energetically. It can block your intuition. It can block your confidence. It can block your intuition. It can block your stability. And the way to personal transformation can help align those chakras and open all those chakras up, if that makes sense. When out of balance, blames others and quits. So I talked about it in a soul tribe reading that I did yesterday, where for a long time, because I wasn't transforming, I just blamed everybody else. Like, oh, that person is the problem. It's their fault. So you or your person or this person you're connected to in this soul contract, there could have been a lot of blame, a lot of projection, and there could be the energy of quitting. And I'm thinking about, you could be a counterpart who's because your chakras aren't aligned, because you don't have that sense of confidence yet, sense of self, you could want to quit. Does that make sense? And again, maybe your person, instead of, a lot of the time what happens in my experience of being on this journey is that when you trigger other people's shadows, they just blame you for triggering them and they want to quit. So this could have been someone that you triggered some things, some wounds that they needed to work on. You triggered their lack of self, sense of self. And instead of looking within and transforming, this person could have just blamed you and wanted to quit the relationship. And again, I'm not sure why I keep thinking that's your person, but I feel like if you are attracted to my readings and my energy, that you are someone who's in the process of personal transformation and spiritual awakening and things like that. And again, you could have triggered that within your person. And maybe on bad days, maybe you have moments where you blame others and want to quit. Or maybe that's an energy that you resonate with in the past, right? I don't want to keep mentioning too many vehicles in this reading, but I did see so far a red SUV and a gray SUV, if that's symbolic to anyone. I can't help it when I see them. Blue SUV, what the hell? Okay, anyway. So that's what we have for the animal cards. And again, just take these messages as they resonate. Again, all of these energies can be turned around. And yeah, let's keep going. So we have Thanatos, and this is an interesting one because this talks about death. So I'm not sure if you or the person you're connected to has recently experienced a death. Death can kind of can wake people up. If they experience a death, or someone who's someone that they're close to experiences, passes away, it can really put things into perspective. It can be kind of a wake-up call. But the main shadow attribute of this card is fear of getting old, fear of dying. And I know just from doing what I do and, interacting with people in my comment section. And again, this goes back to that distorted masculine energy, worrying about time, is that a lot of people do worry about time and how long things are taking and why aren't we coming into union, and I'm getting old, I want to have kids, I can't wait much longer, I'm in my 70s, like when is it ever going to be my turn? And again, this Thanatos card, if I'm saying that right, talks about, shout out to anybody who watches Squid Games. Like, I know that's a weird thing for me to say, is like this like being of light that I watch Squid Games, but my kids wanted to watch it, and I found it, as an empath and a spiritual person, I found it very hard to watch. Like, I used to be able to watch stuff like that and it would just roll like water off a duck's back. It would just, like, I could watch it and not feel a thing. And I remember years ago, like when I first started awakening and I started to be able to feel, like, physically feel people's pain when I watched stuff. So I had a really hard time watching Squid Games, but there was a character called Thanatos, I believe, on that show with purple hair. So shout out to anybody who's watched Squid Games. But yeah, I recently watched Squid Games and I can remember when I was watching it, like, I felt my heart pounding out of my chest. Like, I was feeling everything those people were feeling. I was like, it was intense. It's intense once you awaken. And that goes, like, not even for things like that. But I remember watching, and I think that somebody made a clip about this on social media. By the way, just side note, I'm not really on social media. So if you're trying to contact me through social media, I've, like, completely detached from Instagram and TikTok because it was really messing with my head and my intuition. I was consuming too much of it. So I've completely detached from those two platforms. So I just don't want you to take it personally if you're trying to get a hold of me. That goes for, like, my emails too. Please don't take it personally if you're not hearing back from me. Like, I mentioned in a reading the other day, I have like over 2,000 emails. And again, I'm not on Instagram or TikTok anymore. So my page is there, but I'm not active there. So please don't take it personally if you're reaching out to me and I'm not responding to you. It's nothing against you. It's just, it really, again, a few months ago, it really, like, fucked with my own intuition. And I just had to take a step back from it. But what was I getting to? I was mentioning Squid Games. I got lost there that's what I was saying. I remember when I first awakened, I watched the movie Hope Floats. And in that movie, there's a scene where the dad leaves the daughter and she's sobbing. And I've seen that clip on social media. That's what made me talk about social media, where that's where the wound of abandonment and rejection comes from, right there. She was begging him to stay. She was begging him to take her with him. And he was like, I'm sorry, I can't. And he, like, left and went off to be with his new family. And she was just, like, screaming and crying in the street. And I remember I felt that so deeply. And that image is kind of, as someone who had, like, that fear of rejection and fear of abandonment, that's kind of, like, burned into my soul. So the fact that I started talking about that, you could have an abandonment wound, or your person could have an abandonment wound. And again, that can really affect the way that you move forward in life and show up in connections. And, like, if you have that fear of abandonment, for example, as I was touching that stingray card, it can really make you that people pleaser or that person who lacks boundaries because you're afraid of that happening to you again. And sometimes, having that, like, maybe this person did that to you and it was meant to trigger that wound within you so that you could finally heal that wound and like come home to yourself, if that makes sense. But yeah, this death card does talk about fear of aging, fear of getting old, fear of like missing out. And that's one thing within the spiritual community that we often talk about, is that time is an illusion. You'll always have enough time for things that are meant for you. And I know that's can be triggering to hear, especially if you're older. But that's what this card talks about. So fear of fear of aging, fear of running out of time. Someone also here could have like an illness. Someone here could have an illness, you or the person you're connected to. We have the Vision, which I love this card because it's many of the archetype cards all in one. Like this is, I don't know all the cards in the archetype card, I don't know them all by heart like I do with the animal deck. I'm working on it. You've noticed that I've been using this deck a lot. For a long time I wasn't using it. Now I'm actually studying it. But I know like this is the cave. I know this imagery right here is from the seed. I know this is from the kiss. Like there's a lot of, there goes my throat again. There's a lot of archetypes all in one in this card. So I'm actually going to have to pull the book out for that one. Oh, we have 4. Okay. We have the Warrior. Interesting. We have snakes here. We have repeated imagery, and we even have a snake skin right here. So we do have a lot of imagery of snakes. I'm seeing this diamond here. And I always say, you know, by healing our shadows, that snake, by healing those shadows within us, it frees the diamond within. And now I have to, where is that deck? Did I move that deck? No, I did not move that deck. I just want to read you. Every time I talk about the diamond, I think of the Jaguar. And yes, I say Jaguar, not Jaguar. That does not sound normal to me. Jaguar. I say Jaguar. It's on, look, 33, my favorite number. What is 33? Where's my trusty, look at that. Spiritual, wise, enlightenment, influence. Weaknesses, self-sacrificing, careless. Interesting. So I'm just, this diamond triggered within me, or my guides showed me this card. So I'm just going to read it to you, because this is what I mean about how some people are afraid to look at their shadows, and there's no shame in looking at our shadows. We've been taught to banish our shadows and to be ashamed of them. And that's where our power lies. That's where enlightenment lies. That's where, you know, healing lies. Jaguar represents the shadow, the subconscious aspects of ourselves we push away. Carl Jung says these aspects usually stem from situations we encountered as children that leads us to feel shame, unworthiness, and abandonment. Perfect. I can see why Spirit called me to this card. We then live out these programmed beliefs as adults, and I'm just feeling called to find this card. It's one of my favorite cards. Maybe I'll get, yeah. I already have so many cards that we're getting, so we'll see if I feel called to pull a card from this deck for you. So, these aspects usually stem from situations we encountered, can you see that? As children that lead us to feel shame, unworthiness, and abandonment. We then live out these programmed beliefs as adults. Jaguar comes to speak to us about nourishing our shadow. In this image, we see her drinking from the well of wholeness. The well in this image, inspired by analyst Jungian, how do you pronounce that word? Analyst Marion Woodman, is our place of nourishment and absolute wholeness. Water is where all life comes from. Without it, we have no vitality. Many of us ignore and starve our shadow aspects because they cause us so much pain. We push them away and deeply criticize them. We chain our Jaguar shadow and confine her to the furthest part of the backyard of our minds. She howls and cries for nourishment, yet we still ignore her. In her banishment, because of lack of love, her power grows as the master of self-sabotage. Ironically, if you would begin a relationship with her, you would find that she's your greatest asset and leads to fulfilling your life's purpose. Funny that we instinctively banish her. Jaguar's medicine asks you to create a self-talk relationship with yourself and to ride the wave of hurt within. Every time a painful feeling arises, you must now tell yourself, I'm right here to feel this with you. I accept this uncomfortable feeling and I will ride it out with you. I am here to feel this with you. If you do this, the emotion will always detox out and dissipate, leading to a much quicker healing. But you must be strong and endure the pain. Commit to riding the waves of emotion together within yourself. This is the nourishment your Jaguar shadow requests. If you witness her, she will start showing you a new and indestructible power within. Your shadow is where your diamond lives. Truth. And I can finally read that card without bawling. Like, if you've been around me for a while, you know that I used to get this card and I would just cry the whole time I read that description. Because I think I cried because my Jaguar was feeling lonely and confined in the back parts of my mind, you know? Anyway. That's what that warrior card triggered within me. Or triggered the image of that card. So I wanted to read it to you. And it's fitting that it's in reverse. We have the self. So I do feel this was a contract that was really meant to help trigger both of your true selves, the pearl that lies within. And you can only get that pearl through grit and irritation. And it goes back to what I was saying, what I just heard that reader talk about, which was when you have this sense of self, look at the light beams coming out of this thing, right? When you've healed your shadow and you find the diamond within, and now I'm hearing Aladdin could be symbolic, the diamond in the rough, you kind of shoot out this light. And now I'm seeing the Little Mermaid when she gets legs and she has light beams shooting out of her fingers and her toes. And it can trigger people. It can irritate others. It can irritate other people's shadows. And all it's doing is it's irritating and triggering their Jaguar that's in the backyard, chained up and confined, like a poor little neglected animal. That's what you're triggering within other people. And that's why there's this belief that by healing yourself, you heal other people. And you can't fix other people. You can't force other people to heal. All you can do is heal yourself and kind of emanate. Is that the right word? My words, I lack words sometimes. But that emanates this healing energy, this healing frequency. And that's what's so important to me about this journey is yes, I'm healing myself. But by healing myself, I'm essentially helping to raise the vibration. By awakening, by being enlightened, you're helping to raise the vibration of the world. And the world really needs it right now. And it can feel sometimes I feel the pressure of the darkness kind of trying to push down that light, and it's very heavy to try and raise the level of humanity. It can feel kind of like a never-ending battle. I got in a really weird discussion with my partner who's not spiritual this morning. We got into this really interesting conversation about spirituality and Buddhism and religion this morning. And I was, using the example of Lord of the Rings and about how it's almost like the battle for Middle Earth, and how the light, the people who were in the light were really outnumbered. If you think about the number of orcs and like the darker energies in that movie, they were completely outnumbered. And that's kind of what it can feel like when you are an awakened soul. It can feel, like sometimes you can feel that heavy energy of the darkness. Anyway, geez, this reading, I don't know. I just channel what my guides are channeling, so, which can be a little rambly, but that's okay. Oh, look, I saw the sense of self. So, see, that's what I meant about the mountain. Okay, it's the mountain. So the mountain is within this card as well, which talks about daunting, which I was just talking about, and the cave is in there too. But I was just talking about how sometimes it can feel like a daunting task to, with all the darkness out there. So when in dark, disjointed, fatigued, diffused energy and purpose. 119 could be symbolic. The soul, the witness, the watcher. I might read this, but I just want to talk about this for a minute. So when in dark, when someone has like a lack of self, they could feel very disjointed, very tired all the time. And, it's funny because I was told my whole life that I was depressed. Oh, that's just depression. Take a pill, take a pill, take a pill. Guess what? The pills didn't fix me. And when I awakened, I came off of those pills. And I'm not saying that you should, if you're on medication, I'm not telling you to come off of medication. I am not a medical professional. And if you are on antidepressants, oh my gosh, do not stop taking them like cold turkey, because what I went through when I stopped taking antidepressants, oh my gosh, it was horrible. Like the things I felt within my body, horrible. Like anytime I moved my eyeballs, I would get like tremors. Like my whole body would like shudder. It was awful. So always medical professional. Have a medical professional help you if you are, someone who is thinking about coming off of them. And I only came off of them after I was in a very healed, like I was already well into my healing journey, and I was feeling very, I didn't feel like I was depressed anymore. And I knew it was time for me to come off of them. So just remember, if you're coming off of any of that medication, you don't want to do it cold turkey. You need a medical professional to help you. You need to like slowly reduce the dosage you're taking before you come off of it. I don't know why that's coming through. But when someone's unawakened, when someone's like living in shadow, they can be very tired. They can sleep all the time. They can, have a hard time getting out of bed, or they, nap a lot. And hey, I'm not putting down naps. I love a good nap. But I used to nap a lot, and now I don't really nap at all, because I just have this, remember I was saying zest for life. So I just have this new appreciation for life. And I feel like I have things that I'd rather be doing than sleeping my day away. Again, no judgment or shame to anybody who enjoys naps or has to nap every day or needs to rest, especially if you have some sort of illness, ailment. I don't know where that was coming from. Diffused energy and like diffused sense of purpose. So feeling like you don't really have a purpose. So you kind of feel very tired and depressed and sleep the day away. When light, witnessing, accepting new aspects of self. And again, that goes back to what I was saying about nourishing the shadows, about seeing the shadow aspects of yourself and nourishing them. It really frees some of your light aspects as well. The self is a prism that allows the spectrum of our personalities, somebody could be on the spectrum, of our personalities to radiate. It does not judge, prohibit, suppress, or oppress any of its parts, and it lovingly knows that all aspects have a time and a place, and leads us to experience the full breadth of life's offerings. The self is the central abiding container, the awareness of the infinite universe of possibilities. When this card appears, it's a call to step back into witness consciousness, to observe yourself navigating the world. Ask yourself, am I the stew or am I the chef? And I'm thinking of a chef stirring stew, and it's making me think of the magician card. In most situations, our ego draws us into the cauldron where we swirl, spin, and smolder in chaos. Yet the self is a graceful culinary dancer, watching, waiting, observing as the spectrum of ingredients become the flavor of our life. Look in the mirror for 30 seconds or more. Attempt to see the you behind you. And some people report that if they don't have a strong sense of self, they have a really hard time staring at themselves for 30 seconds in the mirror. And I'm not talking about looking at yourself in the mirror and like looking at your shoulders and then looking down to your belly and then looking at your hair, then looking at your ears. I'm talking about looking in the mirror and it's steady eye contact for 30 seconds with yourself. That can help strengthen your sense of self by like staring. I know this sounds crazy, but by staring down yourself in the mirror, like see if you can look at yourself and not break eye contact with yourself in the mirror for 30 seconds. Because people who don't have a strong sense of self struggle doing that because it's almost like you're looking right into your soul, if that makes sense. So maybe a practice that you could do or that your person needs to do is to kind of look at themselves in the mirror, like a good hard look, like, you know, that take a good hard look at yourself in the mirror, but like really right into your eyes because the eyes are the window to the soul. Anyway, this reading has taken an interesting turn. Where am I going? You're going the wrong way. Maybe you've said that to your person. All the way back here. There we go, the warrior. So when in dark, and again, you could really resonate with some of these things, like when you're having a bad day. Threats, savagery, abandoning mission and values. Do you know how many times I wanted to do you know how many times on my healing journey I was like, am I just delusional? I should just give all this up, you know? So don't beat yourself up if you're having a day like that, because again, that comes from darkness. Threats, savagery, abandoning mission and values. And that could be your person too. Like your person could, you know, abandon their own values or abandon their own mission because they're stuck in their shadows. When in light, fierce clarity, purposeful action, resolve, resilience. And fierce clarity makes me think of the fact that that diamond is over the third eye. It goes back to what I was talking about with the intuition. And just remember that what I was saying about social media, and I've seen people on social media while I was addicted to social media talk about this, about how taking in too much social media can block your third eye. It can gunk it up. And I've seen like spiritual people and like Reiki people talk about how you can clear that third eye by massaging it. And like you massage your third eye, you imagine all the gunk that's stuck in there. Like think of it like, I don't know what gets gunked up. I'm trying to think of an example, but I can't. I can think of like an example, my rings would be an example. Like sometimes I'll take my ring. I never take my rings off. And sometimes I'll take my ring off and I'll notice that the underside is like full of gunk. So think of your third eye like that when you're, that doesn't just have to be social media. That can be other people's energies. So it can really gunk up that third eye. And one way that you can heal your third eye or unclog it is to massage it. And then you imagine the gunk in it or that energy. And again, social media can gunk up your intuition. So you massage it and then you actually like visualize, like you put your hands to your third eye. Imagine my forehead is here. I'm not going to stick my forehead under the camera. It would feel like sticking my head in an oven to me if I was to stick my forehead under here. but you like go right to your third eye, so right in between your eyes, and you imagine pulling that gunk out and clearing out your third eye. Again, this reading has taken an interesting turn. It'll be interesting to see who watches it. I never make content for the sake of anybody to watch it. I make it for one person. So if you're the only person who's watching this, thank you for spending your time with me. So the vision. I wish I knew all the cards. Like, I wish I knew all the cards enough to tell you all the cards that are within this image. The kiss. I'm not going to sit here and do this. The seed. No, I can't do this. That'll take me way too long. But when in dark, disconnected from art and dreams, listless, aimless. So like really lacking purpose, lacking happiness. Maybe even like you're having a hard time, like remembering your dreams, I'm hearing. When in light, potent imagination. And guess what? Your imagination is part of your intuition and part of your, like, I'm hearing your clairvoyance. So when in dark, you could feel very disconnected from your intuition and being able to imagine a future. Remember, I talked about that. Like, I never used to be able to imagine my future or see anything in my future because I was like stuck in the darkness. But when in light, potent imagination. And I always say, like, your imagination can help you, like, it can help you manifest your future, like the things that you visualize, the things that you imagine. I also talk about how sometimes that imagination is like it can actually be your intuition, and you're getting downloads about your future. You're actually having visions of things that happen in the future. Synchronicity and trust. And again, the more you look at synchronicities, the more you look up what the synchronicities mean, and the more you trust in them, the more you get, the more synchronicities you get. So, you know, for this one, I don't really know how to apply that to a shadow other than someone's intuition could be blocked here, right? Okay, moving on. The only other part of this reading that may be lengthy are these cards and these cards. So we have mystery, and this card gives me moon energy. So I'll actually just lay them out before I talk about them. So this always gives me moon energy because sometimes on the moon card, you see two towers and you see someone like walking through them or about to walk through them, and you see the moon in the card. This could also represent like you and your person, for example. We have hunger. And we have strength, which strength did come out in reverse. Like I said, I'm putting all of these, I'm taking the reversals of all of these, but I'm going to put them in the upright just so that you can see them. So let's talk about the hunger could be a need for control. So if you're someone who has a shadow of like wanting to be in control, or your person does, the hunger of always wanting more, you know, of possibly a void. Like someone here could feel a void. And I always talk about how I felt a void my entire life before I awakened. And I filled that void with alcohol, with cannabis, with food, with plants, with pets. I kind of even want to say my children. Like, there's a reason I have 4 children. I had 2 sets of twins, so I didn't set out to have 4 children. And I don't believe in accidents. I believe that all of my children were very meant to be. But I also had this void within me where I was like, I need to fill it with something. Again, pets, plants. I just tried to, like, so you could have a void, or your person could have a void where they fill it with like material things, for example, with addictions, with distractions with work. That's another thing I filled my void with. I was a workaholic. And again, that comes from like a hunger of wanting to control things as well. Strength speaks for itself. Lack of confidence, lack of stability, lack of self-worth. So I just want to look in. I'm not actually going to look in the guidebook that comes with that. Or should I? Well, I'm just going to look at the tarot cards that I'm seeing here. So blockages, fear, deception, anxiety, misunderstanding, misinterpretation. I'm looking at like all the negative attributes because we're looking at shadows. You must deal with your anxiety and fears by overcoming them, for they are like shadows in the dark. And then on this side, illusion, uncertainty, confusion, secrets, unconscious, uncertainty about the future. So if you have this heavy uncertainty about your future, which I talked about in myself, again, that can come from a place of needing to do shadow work. It can also come from a hunger of control, like wanting to know the outcome. And we cannot control the outcome. And that's why I always talk about like releasing the outcome is one of the healthiest things you can do, because it really allows the energy to flow. Because when you're holding on to a certain outcome, it can block you. Uncertainty about career path. So if you are uncertain about what your mission is, for example, or you are in a job where you feel uncertain if it's your job, if you have that feeling that you're not sure if that's the job for you, that's probably your little intuition saying this isn't the job for you, right? If you're in a job, and again, we all have to make a living because like the world we live in is, oh my gosh, the price of food right now, like I do not know how some people are surviving right now. So we all have to work in order to survive. But if you're at a job where you dread going to work and you dread Mondays and you dread like, again, going to work, and you are at work and you're constantly like, what time is it? What time is it? What time is it? Is it time to go yet? Again, distorted masculine energy a little bit there. That's a huge sign that you're not in the right job, because people who are, on their soul path doing the things that light them up, they do not care about time when they're working. Like they don't, like for example, me, that's why my readings are so long, because I lose complete I lose this sense of time when I'm doing readings. I also never dread working. Like I absolutely love what I do. It's not easy, but I never have a morning. I spoke about it in a reading the other day. I always wake up like super early now because I never dread doing what I do. I absolutely love what I do. So find what you love to do. The person you're connected to could be doing something that doesn't light them up, something that, makes them very unhappy. And that can weigh them down. And maybe they spend a lot of time working, or they stress about work, or, maybe they fill a void with working all the time, for example. We have the Strength card. Self-doubt, weakness, low confidence, inadequacy, cowardice, forcefulness. And that's what I was hearing with this hunger, like the hunger to have control and to force things. Like, so for example, a lot of, divine feminines want to control what's happening, and they want to force connection and force union. If that's making sense. And if you're a divine feminine, I'm sure you're like, yep, that makes total sense. So really releasing that need to control things and to know the outcome. The reverse Strength card can talk about experiencing intense anger or fear. You seem to be lacking the inner strength. You might experience fear, a lack of conviction and confidence in your own abilities, leading to self-esteem issues, insecurity, negativity about love. So if you're connected to someone who's really insecure, they could feel very negatively about love, or they could show up in a very insecure way, in a very like they could feel a lot of, like, maybe you trigger their anger or you trigger their anxiety, you know what I mean? And strength in reverse, reconsider this situation. Perhaps you are trying to force an outcome that's not within your control at the moment. You need to overcome your guilt, doubts, and fears. So again, there could be, I don't know if that's you or your person, or it's both. You know, you could both struggle with insecurity and doubt and fear. All right, let's keep it going. We're getting through it. We're getting through it. We have choose who you are becoming, number 7. If I knew my Roman numerals, I'm still learning. I never learned that when I was younger, and I'm still learning. Once I learn them, I'll be able to tell you what these numbers are, but right now I cannot. We have in balance, which is 14. So 7, 14. So July 14th could be symbolic, for example, or January 4th or April 1st. This is the energy of temperance. And remember, I was talking about balancing feminine and masculine energies. What do you really want? Number 27. So it could be that, like, this person doesn't know what they really want and they need to choose a path here. Or when you have a lack of sense of self, you don't know what the hell you want. And we have cut the cords of doubt, 42. I almost said 24. So 24 could be symbolic. So like February 7th or July 2nd could be symbolic, or April 2nd or February 4th could be symbolic. I could go all day breaking numbers down and telling you the numerology behind them. I'm a numerology nut since I awakened. It is a way that the universe talks to you, which is why I often mention numerology. But I'm just going to read the shadow aspects of these cards for you. This is a creator oracle, but I felt called to get it for blockages. Because there are self-care messages for the blockages. So a blockage here, not making a choice. So you could be connected, or you could have someone who has an indecision wound and who is afraid to make a decision, or afraid to make a choice, or to choose a path, or to choose wrongly. And that could be you too. And I'm not going to break down where all those wounds come from in this reading, because I did pull a few of the sacred wounding cards. These will be the only ones I read. But just know that every wound stems from somewhere, and we overcompensate or undercompensate for those wounds. Which, if you stick around long enough, you'll hear probably every one of them in my readings over time. Unnecessary delays. So there could be unnecessary delays here. Playing it safe. Straddling 2 average paths instead of stepping onto one extraordinary trail. The need to over control your future. Oh my gosh, that's really making sense with the energy that was coming out. And I didn't look at these before I did this reading. I kind of just pulled them all and was going to look at the books with you. So in balance, too much focus on one thing. First of all, one of the woundings here, or one of the shadows, could be one or both of you is too much in your feminine or too much in your masculine. Another wound here could be the imbalance of energy. So like there could be like an imbalance of give and take. And I talk a lot about like codependency, and about how when codependency is triggered, it triggers like anxious attachment styles and avoidance styles. So if this becomes out of balance, sometimes one person, and I'm going to be honest, these are the types of people who attract each other to learn these lessons. So when it becomes imbalanced, one person starts overgiving, and as that person starts overgiving, the other person starts putting in less effort and detaching and avoiding, and those scales tip, and the energy becomes completely out of whack. And again, I'm not saying it's your fault for overgiving. White SUV. I'm not saying it's your fault for overgiving. But in order for a connection or a relationship to flourish, there needs to be a balance of energy. And again, one of the things within this connection is maybe you're not balanced within your feminine and masculine energies. Maybe you have more masculine energy, and maybe they have more feminine energy, just as an example. Or maybe you're both heavily in your masculine energy, and when two people are both heavily in their masculine energy, there's like, what am I trying to say? There's like, it's like, I'm hearing Clash of the Titans. I don't even know what that means, Spirit. Clash of the Titans. I don't even know what that means. But there can be like an issue of control where you're both trying to control things. And that can cause a clash, if that makes sense. Ignoring responsibilities. So maybe this person, like, you know, maybe there's things they need to take responsibility for. Justice. It's making me, the scales are making me think of justice. And one of the shadow attributes of justice is blaming partner unfairly. So like I said, this person could have blamed you unfairly for their wounds. And maybe if you were lacking self-confidence and boundaries, you internalized that and thought that it was all your fault. And I'm telling you, it wasn't all your fault. Excess, imbalance, not seeing the bigger picture. So again, see the bigger picture. One of the wounds here is that somebody's not seeing the bigger picture. 27, working too hard, workaholic, not knowing when you have reached your goal, missing the joy of today. So not living in the present moment. And that can sabotage you. Living too much in the past, not a good idea. Thinking too much about the future, not a good idea. So there's an energy of not living for the present moment. Where was I? Feeling lost or confused, not feeling fulfilled, being unsure of where you are headed, and which all leads to an opportunity to realign your life journey with your soul purpose. So for some of you, you're meant to be realigning, and your person too, with your true soul purpose. And 42, there could be a blocked solar plexus. My solar plexus just started going crazy, and my throat's been going crazy. So blocked solar plexus, blocked throat chakra. Being constrained by doubt and fear, cut the cords of doubt. I always say doubt and fear keep you trapped. They keep you stuck. And I often talk about like a hot air balloon, how those doubts and fears, or the like other people who are in lower vibrational energy, can keep us trapped, can keep us stuck. This also looks like a phoenix. So maybe for some of you, like something that you need to do is release the cords of doubt, cut the cords of doubt, so that you can rise like the phoenix that you are. I even saw the rise card. Maybe I'll look that up as well. Not taking a chance, probably your person, if I'm being honest. Well, that could be both of you. Maybe there's something that you're feeling called to take a shot at, or to take a leap of faith towards, like your soul purpose, but you have all this doubt and fear that's keeping you stuck. Choosing to skip amazing opportunities and staying in a comfort zone. And again, that could be you or your person. And I'm just going to say, I'm seeing you as an amazing opportunity for your person. Can I just say that? And I'm seeing the Two of Wands. I'm seeing someone who's afraid to leave their comfort zone, so they stay where they are. They stay in their shadows, or they stay in a situation that they're unhappy in, because they have a fear of this amazing opportunity. I see you, my friend, as an amazing opportunity. I just want to look at what number, where Rise is. Rise, 120. Which makes me think of Hanged Man energy, which is about surrender. So surrender the doubt is what I'm hearing, so that you can rise like the phoenix you are. And again, you may not be resonating, like this could all be about your person. Like you could be someone who's working on all of this already and you're resonating with this as past energy, and that's okay. The need for acceptance of defeat before the rebirth. Knowing when it's time to stop. Very interesting. A time to implement changes before you can rise again. All right. So some of the blockages or wounding in this connection, we have security, insecure, and safe. And if you probably know I'm about to mention black cat energy. So when you're in black cat energy, you don't chase anything. You allow, like, it's almost like a little bit like Empress energy. I'm also seeing the Queen of Wands, because the Queen of Wands sometimes has a black cat, very confident. When you're insecure, it's hard to be in that black cat energy. So a black cat energy is like you never chase anything. You never, chase anything out of insecurity. You allow things to come to you. So we have security, insecure, safe. We have communication, stifled, communicative. And we have expression, suppressed, joyful. And I'm telling you, when your soul has something you need to express and you stifle that, it can keep you stuck, because your voice, that light within you, wants to be free, is what I'm hearing. So again, this part might be a little lengthy. This part might be a little bit lengthy, but we'll see. Maybe not. No, it's not that lengthy. I probably talk more about cards than how long it'll take me to just read this to you. So I'll just read it to you. Embrace the gift of self-love. So one of the blockages here could be that you and your person need to work on self-love. Embrace the gift of self-love. Know that you are perfect and that you have all of the information and resources that you need to find safety and security within yourself. And that's like giving me 9 of Pentacles energy, where you know everything you need comes from within you, not outside of you. You don't need material things to make you feel fulfilled. You don't actually even need the love of another person, as long as you have that self-love. And a lot of people who feel insecure and lack self-love look for it externally. So within another person, or within like substances or their job or their lifestyle or material things. The light of your inner peace will serve as a beacon of hope and an inspiration to others, just like that self card. And it's on page 96, which is a little bit twin flamey to me. Feeling secure with yourself grants freedom of spirit, a calm demeanor, and a sense of wholeness, giving you a lifetime ticket to experience and interface the world through the pure and open channel of your human vessel. If we're not feeling safe, our thoughts and energies are directed towards finding safety and security within ourselves. If we don't find it there, we try to control what is physically around us, adding filters to our experience of the world and creating obstructed layers in our perception. If you are safe within yourself, you won't panic at the first sign of external uncertainty, because like a deeply rooted tree, you have created a strong and solid foundation to receive and understand the world around you harmoniously. The unknown brings with it the magic that leads to new paths, perspectives, or a pivotal growth phase. Understanding yourself and feeling secure within this gives you the tools you need to navigate and fully accept the uncertainty and the magic that it bestows. Be empowered by your own responsibility, knowing that you have all the information and inner power you need to heal yourself. You are your biggest cheerleader. And listen, I will be your cheerleader too. Go. No, I'm not a cheerleader. What am I talking about? I was definitely not a cheerleader back in school. I was like a ghost in my school. Like I floated around from group to group. And when I became a photographer, I would run into people that I went to school with. And I'd be like, oh, I went to school with you. And they'd be like, I have no idea who you are. And I'm like, yep, that checks out. But I will be your spiritual cheerleader. I may not be good at like actual cheerleading, but I will Go. See, no, I'm not a cheerleader. Give yourself the gift of feeling unapologetically loved, free, and safe within yourself. It's the best gift you will ever give yourself, my friend. In doing so, you not only generate the strength to create a better world, but your light will also grant others the same freedom. You are internally perfect, feel safe in that knowledge, and that's why super authentic people or people who are showing up as their authentic self really trigger people who are not living in their authentic light. And I get that all the time. So don't take it personally if you are unapologetically authentic and that triggers people. It's just their little authentic self within them saying, I want to be like that. Reflection. How does feeling secure within myself impact my perception of the world? In what ways do I direct my thoughts and energy towards finding safety and security within myself? What steps can I take to empower myself and heal my sense of security within? And we have communication, and I often talk about how communication can be a blockage between two souls, between two humans. I also talk about how if someone has a blocked throat chakra, they can't communicate, which is why that energy of if they wanted to, they would, is just not accurate. I also talk about how people on the spectrum, like myself, have a very difficult time communicating even when they want to. I can remember as a child internally feeling like my mom would ask me something and everything in me was wanting to answer her, and I would just be silent. And she would get why aren't you talking to me? Why aren't you saying anything? And everything within me wanted to say something, but I couldn't. Embrace the beauty of clear communication. And that also this also speaks to you about having the courage to set healthy boundaries and speak up about your needs. Let your inner being shine through all that you do. Communicate with honesty and clarity, knowing that this reflection of your true self will attract prosperity, health, and enlightenment. Your communication is the outer projection of your inner being. It is where we externally transfer the energy of our thoughts and feelings out into the universe. So just think about that. Your communication is the outer projection of your inner being. So just for example, if someone doesn't know what to say to you, if they're silent with you, it's because they have no idea what's going on within their inner world or within them or what they want to say. It is important to reflect on our emotions with complete honesty because that process will be reflected in the world through our expression and communication. When you deny your true feelings, this denial is expressed and then met outside of you with confusion and misunderstanding. You are essentially suppressing and stalling your wants, needs, and true self by holding back your truth. Withholding a part of yourself can create a disharmony in the physical body and disease in the long term. Your body reflects the call of your heart and tries to pass it on to your brain. Listen and honor this communication and be grateful for its guidance. This can also be your intuition, the communication from your intuition. Our bodies are immaculate and perfect vessels, tuned delicately to all parts of our being. Together with our bodies, our minds, spirits, and environments, constantly working to reflect information to us about our well-being and guide us on our true path. Act on the signals your body and surroundings are communicating to you to foster inner growth, spiritual abundance, and well-being. What is it that I need to understand within myself to communicate my needs? How can I effectively communicate my needs and desires to others and freely express myself in a way that feels authentic and true to who I am? And we have expression. Be free in your expression, shine with joy, and know that your light will touch everyone around you. Don't let your fears or limitations hold you back any longer. Cut the cords of doubt. You deserve to be, and the world is waiting to see your beautiful, unique expression. Our bodies are vessels containing unlimited potential, continuously expressing and creating, freely flowing outwards into the internal mirror of life and crafting the world around us. From birth, we want to express ourselves from a place of love, be filled with joy and delight, and bask in our limitless possibilities. However, this is often hard to do with our ego and fears holding back our innate expression and constantly questioning our true and free selves. Gracing yourself with this gift allows others to feel the same expression for themselves. It peels away limitations that have developed and compounded over time and no longer serve, possibly never have. Be free in your expression, glow in your joy, and know that your light will touch everyone around you. That card, the self. The world needs to see it, and you are deserving of it. How can I embrace joy in this situation and allow myself to experience it? What steps can I take to let go of any hindrances and freely share my joy with myself and others? Oh my gosh, I might need to, I don't really want to pause it. I want to keep going. I might need to pause it though. All right, so possible blockages in this connection. We have the Knight of Wands, which runner energy. One blockage is you could be dealing with someone like hot-tempered, so you or your person, that could be a blockage. Lacking confidence, lacking passion, lacking drive, however that's resonating for you. I did hear you could be dealing with a runner, which if you're a counterpart, like I'm not surprised that this energy came out. What's blocking this connection? Delays, impatience. So again, that goes back to wanting to control time, distorted masculine energy, and impatience, right? A divine feminine is very patient. Frustrations. So frustrations with the delays, frustrations with being impatient, hot temper, arrogance, reckless, lack of self-control, passive, volatile, domineering. We have the Six of Pentacles. Like I said, I'm taking the shadows. Debt, one-sided, imbalance, strings attached, selfishness, the need for self-care, inequality, power dynamics, abuse of generosity. And this goes back to that imbalance card where I was talking about, like, there could have been, I might need to pause it because apparently I'm hungry. Hang on. All right. I literally just took like 1 second to take a bite of food. Again, I forget how long I've been recording. Like I lose sense of time. So I just took like 1 little minute to take 1 little bite of food so that I could continue on because I don't want to stop. Excuse me. But that goes back to what I said about that dynamic of like overgiving and undergiving can create an imbalance. And until we heal that, we continue to overgive, and we need to learn not to extend our energies where they're not being reciprocated, if that makes sense. We have the Ten of Pentacles, which right away I was hearing family, like family, opinion of family. So that could be a huge blockage here. The opinions of this person's family or the opinions of your family. It also talks about deep family conflicts, which includes deep family wounding, deep-rooted programming. I think that was a gray pickup truck. Deep-rooted programming from the way we were raised, which I'm not surprised this came out. Financial failure, dark side of wealth, deep family conflicts, conflict over money, breaking traditions. So there could be cycles that, you know, have played out generation after generation that really need to be broken. And that's what this connection is about. It's allowing you and this person to finally break them. And again, you don't have to hold on to an outcome with this person. The whole point is, what are they teaching you? And instead of just like labeling this like, oh, this person is just that. What is it meant to teach you? What cycles is it meant to break within you? What patterns? We have the Nine of Swords, which I'm actually going to take in the upright because I'm taking shadows. Anxiety, depression, sleepless nights, overthinking, fear, nightmares, paranoia, negativity, isolation, despair. So those are some of the other blockages coming through. And I actually just, while I was taking that bite of food, Spirit told me to read this to you because I think that I need to read this to you. An important relationship brings you to your knees. This is the kind of soulmate who comes with a powerful gift. Your patterns and all your old stories that don't serve your well-being enter this dynamic so that you can heal them. And I'm going to add so that you can finally heal them. So that you can heal them once and for all and rise like that phoenix, and then you don't pass those on to the younger generations, like if you have kids or if you're planning on having kids, that will not get passed down to them because you're breaking the cycle. And therefore, you're breaking the cycle of like all your ancestors, and you're actually helping to heal your ancestors so that they can be free too, so that their souls can be free. I know that sounds a little weird, but that's what my guides are saying. This person is called to a sacred task to help you learn, even if it seems uncomfortable, sticky, or even inconceivable. Shout out to anybody who likes Princess Bride. Inconceivable. The question is not why did they do this to me, but what is the gift in this? What is the lesson? What am I meant to learn? I'm adding words. What am I meant to learn from this? What is it meant to teach me about myself? What is it triggering within me? What patterns do I need to heal? Look in the mirror. So, again, go look in your mirror. See if you can hold eye contact with yourself for 30 seconds. You will only be changed for the better. All right, now this will be the last part of the pre-shuffled cards that I'm getting, and then I'm just going to get you a few like oracle cards for messages, and then we'll be done. Needing to address a fear of success. And I won't even read that because I'm going to read from the book for you, so it'll cover that. Needing to address a control wound. It was so long ago that I shuffled these cards, I can't even remember. Address the wound of broken trust. So something that I have mentioned is Three of Swords energy. When we've been wounded in the past and that wound is never healed, we carry that wound into future connections. So like your person could have had broken trust in the past, and then they projected that into this connection. And it wasn't your fault. You weren't the one that did it. But that left a mark on them that baggage they brought into this connection. Needing to address anxiety and fear. Needing to address the fear of failure. So, fear of success is where we're going to start. If I remember, I will link this book. Oh, good. We have fear of success and fear of failure here. So we'll just do those two first. Look, it's on page 100 and 101. That's magical. So I will, again, if I remember, I'll link this book. It doesn't come with this deck from Etsy, but she wrote this book to go with this deck. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of this success. The fear of failure is not really about failing. It's about what failure means. It is the belief that if you fall short, you are inadequate. That if you try and you don't succeed, that you will be judged, ridiculed, or worse, left behind. This wound convinces you that mistakes define you, that imperfection is unacceptable, and that it is safer to stay where you are than risk failing. It keeps you frozen in hesitation, waiting for the right time, the perfect conditions, or the guarantee that you won't fail. I think that says fail. But failure is not the end. It is the doorway to mastery, resilience, and growth. The only true failure is refusing to begin. Healing the fear of failure requires shifting your perspective. Failure is not proof of your inadequacy. It is the evidence that you are trying, growing, and expanding beyond your comfort zone. Every misstep teaches you something. Every setback refines you. Success is not about getting it right the first time. It is about learning, adjusting, and continuing forward despite the stumbles. When you embrace failure as a necessary part of your journey, it no longer holds power over you. You stop fearing the fall and start trusting yourself to rise. So, journaling questions. What does failure mean to me, and where did I learn that definition? Have I ever avoided something because I was afraid I wouldn't succeed? How do I react when I make mistakes? Do I reflect, freeze, or try and hide them? Do I equate my worth with my achievements? Why or why not? What is one failure I have experienced that ultimately led to growth or a better opportunity? How do I handle setbacks? Do I adjust, or do I let them define me? What would I attempt if I knew failure was impossible? How do I speak to myself when I don't meet my own expectations? What small step can I take towards a goal today, even if it's imperfect? What would life look like if I embraced failure as a teacher rather than a threat? A deeply ingrained fear that making mistakes, falling short, or not meeting expectations equates to personal inadequacy. This wound manifests as procrastination, perfectionism, or an avoidance of risks that might lead to disappointment. There may be an internalized belief that failure is a reflection of your worth rather than a necessary part of growth, leading to cycles of self-doubt, anxiety, and hesitation. Some may struggle to start projects. The Beaver. Where was I? Projects, fearing they won't be good enough, while others may overwork themselves to exhaustion in an attempt to prevent failure altogether. Emotionally, this wound can create feelings of shame, embarrassment, or regret over past mistakes, making it difficult to move forward. Physically, it can manifest as muscle tension, digestive distress, or restlessness from an underlying fear of being judged or falling behind. Over time, fear of failure can lead to missed opportunities, stifled potential, and an inability to experience, all I can hear is my son giggling, and an inability to experience the richness of life due to excessive self-criticism. Watch for patterns of playing small, avoiding challenges, or tying self-worth to external achievements, and tying your self-worth to the outcome of a relationship or to being chosen by someone. I'm adding that. Suppressing the fear of failure by either avoiding meaningful pursuits altogether or becoming hyper-focused on external success can to mask internal insecurities. Instead of addressing the wound, some may refuse to engage in anything where failure is a possibility, convincing themselves that staying in their comfort zone, your comfort zone, we talked about it. Convincing themselves that staying in their comfort zone is smart or safe. This can manifest as chronic indecision, self-sabotage, or underachieving despite having the potential for more. Others may go in the opposite direction, obsessively chasing accomplishments, constantly striving for perfection, or defining their entire identity by success. Some may even reject the idea of failure itself, blaming external circumstances or avoiding accountability to protect their ego. Watch for patterns of over-explaining mistakes, struggling to handle constructive criticism, or fearing vulnerability because it might expose imperfections. Beneath the resistance lies the same longing to take risks, to trust in one's resilience, and to embrace failure as a stepping stone rather than an end point. And fear of success. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. The fear of success is not about doubting your abilities. It is about fearing what will happen if you fully step into them. It is a hesitation that comes when you realize success will demand change, responsibility, and the possibility of standing apart. This wound convinces you that success will bring pressure, isolation, or expectations that you cannot meet. And fear of success of a relationship. And I'm looking at your person right now. It tells you that the higher you rise, the harder you can fall, that stepping into your potential means stepping into the unknown territory where you may no longer belong. And so you hesitate, you self-sabotage, you shrink back into the familiar even when you know you are meant for more. Healing the fear of success requires embracing your own expansion without apology. It is about understanding that success does not separate you, it elevates you. Your growth does not have to come at the cost of your relationships, your peace, your authenticity. True success is not about meeting external expectations. It is about fully embodying the life you were meant to live. The world does not benefit from you staying small. When you release the fear of your own greatness, you realize that success is not something to survive. It is something to step into boldly and without fear. What fears come up when I imagine myself fully succeeding? Do I associate success with pressure, loss, or unrealistic expectations? Have I ever sabotaged my own progress right before reaching a goal? What messages did I receive about success growing up? Did I learn that it was dangerous, selfish, or fleeting? Do I feel guilty when I achieve something others have not? What part of my life would I change if I fully stepped into my potential? Do I fear how others might react to my success, jealousy, distance, or increased expectations? What would success feel like if I saw it as an expansion rather than obligation? How can I allow myself to succeed without fear of losing my authenticity? If I trusted myself completely, what bold step would I take today? A deeply rooted fear that achieving one's potential will bring overwhelming responsibility, increased scrutiny, or inevitable downfall. This wound manifests as self-sabotage, avoidance of opportunities, or discomfort when progress is made. There may be an unconscious belief that success will lead to isolation, pressure to maintain perfection, or resentment from others. Some may fear that stepping into their power will change their identity, disrupt relationships, or create expectations they cannot sustain. Emotionally, this wound can cause guilt, imposter syndrome, or a feeling of being undeserving of success, leading to procrastination or abandoning projects just before they take off. The Beaver. Physically, it may show up as a nervous energy, headaches, or a tight chest when faced with recognition or advancement. Over time, fear of success can result in playing small, rejecting leadership roles, or unconsciously attracting obstacles to delay growth. Watch for patterns of hesitation when opportunities arise, downplaying achievements, or fearing that success will come at too great a cost. Suppressing the fear of success by either rejecting ambition entirely or overcompensating through relentless striving, leading to burnout. Instead of addressing the wound, some may convince themselves that success is meaningless, dismissing opportunities or staying in unchallenging roles or relationships, to avoid the discomfort of growth. This can manifest as underachieving despite having talent, avoiding leadership, or pushing away success with excuses like "I'm not ready" or "I don't deserve it." Others may go in the opposite direction, becoming workaholics, obsessively trying to prove their worth, or seeking validation through constant accomplishments, while secretly fearing what happens when they stop. Some may self-sabotage by making reckless decisions at the peak of their success, unconsciously fulfilling the belief that they are not meant to thrive. Watch for patterns of avoiding visibility, guilt around success, or resisting joy because it feels too good to last. Beneath the avoidance lies the same truth. Success is not a burden to bear, but a path to be walked with self-trust and balance. And then we have control wound. The moment you stop trying to control everything is the moment your life begins to flow. Truth. And again, I know this is long, so I'm not going to apologize, but I just kind of passively aggressively apologized. Control convinces you that safety lies in planning every step, predicting every outcome, and holding tight to everything and everyone around you. It tells you that the world is unpredictable, and so the only way to protect yourself is to shape every circumstance to your will. But control is an illusion, a false sense of security built on fear. It creates a life of constant tension, where peace is elusive and trust is something you must constantly strive for, yet fully never embrace. The truth is, trying to control the uncontrollable only keeps you trapped in a cycle of exhaustion, anxiety, and disconnection. Healing the control wound is about surrendering to the flow of life, trusting that not everything needs to be in your grasp for you to be safe. It's about recognizing that true strength comes not from holding on, but letting go. Letting go of expectations, of outcomes, the need to manipulate every situation. When you release the need to control, you allow life to unfold in ways that are far more expansive than you could have ever planned. And in that space, you rediscover peace, trust, and the freedom to experience life as it is without the need to dictate every detail. What situations make me feel the most out of control, and how do I typically respond? Do I trust others to handle things, or do I feel the need to oversee everything myself? What is my earliest memory of feeling powerless, and how has it shaped my need for control? How do I react when plans change unexpectedly? Do I associate surrender with weakness or failure? What areas in my life feel rigid, and how might that be limiting me? Have I ever lost something important by trying too hard to control it? What would it feel like to trust that I am safe even when things don't go as planned? How do I differentiate between healthy boundaries and excessive control? What is one small way I can practice letting go of control in my daily life? A deeply rooted fear of insecurity, chaos, or powerlessness leading to an overwhelming need to control circumstances, people, or outcomes. Please stop. Is that Bear? I think it's Bear. It's definitely Bear. This wound manifests as hypervigilance, perfectionism, and an inability to trust the natural flow of life. There may be a deep-seated belief that if control is lost, everything will fall apart, resulting in excessive planning, difficulty delegating, or micromanaging. Some may struggle with surrender, feeling uneasy when they are not in charge, while others may rely on rigid structures or rules to create a false sense of stability. Emotionally, this wound can lead to anxiety, frustration, and burnout, as reality rarely conforms to the expectations set. Physically, it may manifest as jaw tension, digestive distress, or chronic headaches due to the suppressed emotions and unrelenting stress. Over time, the need for control can push others away, limit spontaneity, and create a life that feels safe but devoid of true freedom. Watch for patterns of overthinking, difficulty trusting others, or struggling to adapt when plans change. Suppressing the control wound by rejecting all responsibility, embracing chaos, or refusing to engage in planning or decision-making. Instead of addressing the underlying fear, some may take a passive approach, convincing themselves that nothing is within their control, leading to indecisiveness, avoidance, or reliance on others to make choices for them. This can manifest as procrastination, dismissing structure as restrictive, or failing to set goals out of fear of failure. Others may adopt an extreme go-with-the-flow attitude as a defense mechanism, avoiding accountability and refusing to acknowledge the consequence of their actions. Some may even resent authority figures, projecting their suppressed desires for control onto others. Watch for patterns of resisting commitment, struggling with follow-through, or allowing external forces to dictate life's direction. Beneath the surface lies the same fear. The need to control remains, waiting to be understood and balanced rather than denied. And we have broken trust. We're almost there, my friends. We're almost there. The best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them. Ernest Hemingway. Broken trust is a wound that lingers long after the betrayal, reshaping how we see others, how we protect ourselves, and how we navigate the world. It teaches the mind to question everything, to seek proof before believing, to hesitate before opening up. But trust is not something you analyze into certainty, it is something you choose. No amount of caution can guarantee safety, and no wall built high enough will ever keep pain away forever. Remember, I was talking about how, like, somebody here, maybe not you, but your person, because they have broken trust, they built walls around them that keeps everybody out. They push everybody away. To trust again is to not forget the past, but refuse to let it define the future. The truth is, trust is always a risk. It does not come with guarantees, and it will never be without its tests. But living in fear of broken trust only ensures that you never fully experience connection. Healing does not mean trusting blindly. It means trusting wisely. It means listening to your intuition, discerning who has earned your vulnerability, and remembering that trust begins not with others, but within yourself. The past may have given you reasons to doubt, but only you can decide if those doubts will keep you from ever stepping forward again. When is the first time I felt betrayed, and how has it shaped my ability to trust? Do I trust people easily, or do I require them to earn it? How do I react when someone shares something deeply personal with me? Have I ever withheld my true thoughts or feelings because I feared betrayal? Do I test people's loyalty, and if so, what am I hoping to prove? What would my relationships look like if I fully trusted those closest to me? In what ways have I punished myself for trusting the wrong people? How does my fear of betrayal influence my ability to be vulnerable? What does trust mean to me, and what conditions do I place on it? How can I rebuild trust, both in others and in myself? A deep and persistent struggle with vulnerability and openness due to severe betrayals and violations of trust. This wound manifests as hypervigilance in relationships, the constant need to test others' loyalties, and the inability to rely on support systems. There may have been a heightened sense of paranoia, compulsive verification of facts, or difficulty delegating responsibilities due to fear of being let down. Physical symptoms include chest constriction, shallow breathing, or body tension when sharing personal information. This wound can often lead to secret keeping, information hoarding, and the creation of elaborate self-protection systems that keep others at a distance. While this may result in personal success, it can also lead to isolation, difficulty with teamwork, and the inability to form or maintain truly intimate relationships. Watch for patterns of extreme self-reliance, avoidance of emotional dependence, or resisting to trust resistance to trusting even those who have proven themselves loyal. Suppressing broken, oh my gosh, my mouth is getting tired. Suppressing broken trust wounds by becoming the ultimate secret keeper, confidant, or trusted authority figure, while never fully trusting others in return. Instead of addressing personal trust issues, they are masked through the role of power over information, creating a dynamic where others confide but never gain true access in return. This can manifest as collecting secrets, strategically sharing select information, or using knowledge as a means of control. Some may overcompensate by being therapists, advisors, or confessors, listening to and guiding others while keeping personal walls intact. Others may bury trust wounds through calculated vulnerability, appearing open while only revealing what is carefully curated. Is that how you say that? Curated? There may be a tendency to use selective truth-telling as a means of self-protection, subtly manipulating dynamics to maintain emotional distance. Watch for the illusion of openness that never allows true intimacy, a reliance on knowledge as power, or an unconscious habit of creating dependency in others while maintaining internal isolation. And we have anxiety and fear as the last one. Where would you be? Chronic. It would be under C, I guess. Chronic. Chronic anxiety and fear. Fear does not stop death, it stops life. Anxiety whispers warnings even when there is no danger, and I always say, it says anxiety whispers, but what I've always heard is anxiety screams and intuition whispers. Keeping you looking over your shoulder even when no one is chasing you, convinced that control is the only path to safety. It builds walls in the mind, filling every quiet moment with worst-case scenarios, making peace feel like a fleeting illusion. Fear tells you that if you just prepare more, think harder, anticipate everything, you can avoid pain. But in reality, fear does not prevent harm, it only prevents you from fully living. Healing from chronic anxiety is not about eliminating fear entirely. It is about no longer letting it rule you. It is about realizing that uncertainty is not the enemy, that safety is not found in control, but in trust. Trust in yourself and your ability to navigate whatever comes, in the knowing that no amount of worry will change what is meant to be. Anxiety may still knock at your door, but you do not have to invite it in. You do not have to let fear steal your life while you are still here to live it. Oh my gosh, see, I'm breaking down right now. My words are breaking down. What situations trigger my anxiety the most, and what do they have in common? How do I typically react when I feel out of control? Do I believe that uncertainty is dangerous? Why or why not? How does anxiety shape my decision-making process? What are the earliest memories I have of feeling unsafe, and how have they impacted me? When was the last time I embraced spontaneity without fear? What did that feel like? Do I use control, perfectionism, or avoidance to manage my anxiety? How does my body react to fear? What physical symptoms do I experience? What would it take for me to trust that I can handle the unknown? If I weren't afraid, what would I do differently in my life? A persistent state of nervous system hyperactivation and anticipatory dread, whoa, making it difficult to feel safe, grounded, or at peace. This wound manifests as excessive worry, catastrophic thinking, and the inability to trust the unknown. There may be a relentless need to control outcomes, overanalyze every decision, or seek constant reassurance from others. The mind may cycle through worst-case scenarios, preventing rest or true enjoyment in the present. Physically, this wound can show up as a racing heart, shallow breathing, digestive distress, muscle tension, or sleep disturbances. Anxiety may also manifest as social avoidance, perfectionism, or an over-dependence on routines to create a false sense of safety. Over time, this chronic state of fear can lead to burnout, emotional numbness, or the inability to embrace new opportunities. Watch for patterns of hypervigilance, fear-based decision-making, and an aversion to spontaneity due to a need for control. Suppressing anxiety and fear by presenting an image of unwavering competence, control, or fearlessness while internally struggling with distress. Instead of acknowledging the wound, it is buried beneath a polished exterior of efficiency, logic, and expertise in managing risks. This can manifest as becoming an emergency expert, someone who thrives on anticipating worst-case scenarios, constantly advising others how to avoid danger. Some may overcompensate through extreme preparedness, creating rigid schedules, obsessive planning, or hyper-productivity to maintain the illusion of stability. Others may mask fear through thrill-seeking behaviors, risky decisions, or cultivating a tough persona that denies vulnerability altogether. There may be a tendency to justify controlling behaviors as leadership or responsibility while secretly battling panic, worry, or emotional exhaustion. Watch for patterns of workaholism, an obsession with preparedness, or avoidance of true vulnerability through logic and structure. Beneath the calculated exterior, unprocessed fears linger, waiting to be acknowledged. That was a lot. All right, so I'm going to get you one card about healing. And for some reason, sometimes when I get this, it says love letters to your soul. Sometimes when I get this, it almost sounds like your person speaking to you. So if it sounds like a letter from your person, take that if it resonates. If it sounds like a message from spirit to you, take that if it resonates. If it sounds like your higher self, take that as it resonates, okay? Again, I've had people tell me when I read from this deck, that sounds like my person is talking to me. Spirit's telling me to take that. Because it's called Healing Heart, Face Your Shadow and Grow. So, I mean, that's kind of what this reading has talked about. This is 15, Devil Energy. So let's get one more. We're almost done, don't worry. I don't know why, but sometimes I get the feeling of like, that's interesting. Sometimes I get the feeling like, I don't know if you ever felt like this, but sometimes in class, I'd be like, oh my gosh, is this class over yet? So this is interesting. 24, Hungry Heart, Awaken the True Song of Your Heart. And we had that Hungry card. And then we have Healing Heart. So it feels like one of the messages that I'm hearing is that maybe part of the, one of the things that is within this soul contract is that both of your souls could have been hungry to awaken and to heal your hearts. And maybe that's why you came together, so that you could finally do that. And if this person never does that, again, think about that thing I read you in the book about what is the lesson in this. You can take the lessons from this even if they aren't willing to. Face your shadow and grow. Dear heart, I know you have experienced neglect, rejection, disappointment. Should I show you the card? I'll show you the card. Can you see it there? Dear heart, I know you've experienced neglect, rejection, disappointment, and betrayal from those you loved and cared about. This has hurt you deeply and made aspects of your inner self shut down or even wilt away. On some level, you are still holding on to trauma, whether it was abuse from your childhood, humiliation, or disloyalty from someone you loved, cruelty from those you trusted, or a failed relationship or business. Over time, old wounds that have not been lovingly met and healed can fester and sabotage your future. Rather than being open to love, you can shut those out who could appreciate, cherish, and encourage you. Unhealed pain can also inhibit you from listening to your intuition and daring to follow your dreams. The time has come to face your shadow and heal your trauma so that you can expand and grow. We can then partner up and discern what will strengthen us and where to put our love, care, energy, and attention. Place your hand on your heart. If the hurt part had a face and a body, what would it look like? Give this archetype permission to share what it feels and what trauma it is still carrying. Really listen. Imagine a purple flame in front of you, and with your hands, help this part release anything that is ready to let go into the fire. Hold this aspect close to you and say, "Dear whatever this aspect is, you are loved, seen, heard, and supported. Together, we will now reclaim your power and an ability to grow and heal." Allow this part of you to receive this message. If you need to, add anything else, and then imagine that this part reassimilates into your heart in a healthier way, allowing your heart to heal. Keep doing this process daily until you experience deeper healing. And we have 24. Awaken the true song of your heart. Can you see that? Dear heart, I know you hunger for the most profound depth, intensity, passion, juiciness, and divine ecstasy. You want to taste and embody all that love entails, and you desire to feel all of your layers of protection melt and to be truly seen and held by another. You want to be appreciated for all of you, the beautiful and the painful. You want someone to support you through your unprocessed trauma with gentle kindness and compassion. All of this is possible, my darling heart. You have been starved of genuine affection, kindness, and gentleness, and I am now ready to truly see, listen, and treat you with the utmost respect and kindness so that you can heal. I want to help you awaken the true song of your heart and your ability to befriend and learn from all of your feelings. This will create a wholeness and stability within your being where you can develop concentration, self-reflection, steadfastness, and an intimate self-knowingness. Take 5 minutes each morning for the next 30 days to connect with your heart and ask what aspects of your inner self you need to awaken or transform. Allow an answer to come and then say, "I hear you." Take a few deep breaths and reflect on what you are really hearing. Then tell your heart, "I see you." Make sure you repeat this several times, then proceed to follow your heart's deeper guidance on a daily basis. And I have no idea why, but when I said, "Tell your heart, I see you," I immediately teared up, and I have no idea why, but anyway. Maybe you teared up is my point. Like, usually when I feel something like that, it's because someone else is, like, I'm feeling your energy. And I'm just going to get you a couple of surrender cards. Surrender to trust. So I will take that one. Trust yourself and your decisions. Don't be swayed by other people's strong opinions about what to do. Take action and be confident that you have chosen the right path. So, like, you could be struggling to trust in your own journey. Maybe your person is struggling to trust in this. There could be other people's opinions because we did have the 10 of Pentacles, which can show, like, the opinions of friends and family. All right, so we'll just get a few of these. So I need to take this one. Surrender your desire to control people. Being over-controlling can sabotage relationships. To more effectively achieve your goals, back off, regroup, and give the situation some breathing room. That control wound came out, so I had to get it. Surrender resentments. Holding on to resentments only poisons you. Try to forgive others for their shortcomings and keep moving forward towards positive situations in your life. Surrender fear. Let go of the fearful stories you are telling yourself. Stay in the moment, focus on solutions, and celebrate every baby step forward. Truth. I love this deck. Surrender your addictions. Whether you're addicted to substances, food, people, sex, overworking, take action to begin to heal the addiction and replace it with healthier alternatives. And on the bottom, we have surrender defensiveness. Defensiveness is a sign of weakness. To communicate in a more empowered way, stay centered and hear someone out, then offer a clear, non-defensive response. So, my friends, I am going to leave it here. I have no idea how long that was, but I feel like it was a long one. And yeah, if you watch this, thank you for watching this, because I know my readings are not short. And I hope that it brought you some clarity, some peace, maybe some new insights into you and your wounds, maybe into your person's wounds. And I just hope it brought you some comfort today. And as always, my friend, I am sending you lots of light and love, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.